What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by the Real Estate Cheat Code. I have Sam Crafty with us from the Crafty group at Weichert Realtors Triumph Group. Sam, thanks so much for jumping on here with me today, just to talk about your journey to becoming a real estate agent and your current career.
First, John, it's a pleasure to be with you. I've seen some of your prior episodes and really have an appreciation for what you do. A little bit about my journey. I mean, it was a journey. It was, I'm probably like many, was late getting started. I grew up in Sandusky, Ohio. Went to Bowling Green. My girlfriend at the time, now my wife of 31 plus years.
Wow, congratulations.
She wanted to move to a bigger city, so we picked Columbus. Right out of college.
No ties to Columbus. You just
No ties other than coming down and partying a little bit with my buddies at Ohio State when I was in college. Other than that, that's about it. So knew nothing about the city. I personally wanted to go to Cleveland because it was, closer to where we grew up, but being a Browns fan, Cavs fan, Indians at the time fan is like, I'd at least have something to do there quite often.
Yes.
But, I'm a Buckeye fan, so Columbus was fine. And really didn't, I got my degree in business and figured I'd end up selling something, as most of us do.
Is that kind of what you thought was going to happen, like when you went and got your degree in business, or?
It really wasn't. And what's kind of funny is I forget, I read the book many years ago, and it was written by a guy I know, his brother, and the name escapes me, but it was called The Accidental Salesperson. And basically it was how, and I've coached high school basketball a lot, 10, 12 years as well. And I always kept telling the kids when I coached them, I said, you don't realize this, but 70% of you guys are going to end up in sales probably. It's the way it goes. But didn't really know what I wanted to do, and took a job selling commercial printing. And I kept telling she was my girlfriend then, I'm going to do this for 3 or 4 months, get through the holidays and see how it goes. And love the people I worked with. I was there for about 24 years.
Wow.
And, it was a really good career. But then I started getting more and more into coaching basketball and became a head basketball coach at one of the Olentangy schools, Liberty. That was one heck of a time commitment. And my broker, one of my best friends, was also one of my assistant coaches. And for years, he kept telling me, you got to get in and try real estate. And so I did. I got my license in 16, started full time in 17. And it's been a great choice for me. I enjoy the business.
Growing up, did you have anyone in your family that was an entrepreneur, that was in sales? Like, again, I wrote down the books. I have not heard of that book, and I'm actually going to look into it and probably buy it.
It's an old book. It was probably written like in the 90s, and I forget. Okay. I remember reading it, and it was just so true. I mean, it was just, most people end up selling something. It's the way it goes,
Well, if you actually look around, right? I mean, we're selling something, right? Even you as a basketball coach, right? Like,
oh yeah, I'm selling my ideas and my vision for the program that we were building, and it's, you want friends, you're always selling something. And I kept telling them, even when I was in the printing business, everybody in the building, even if you're running a press or you're delivering, the end product, you're a salesperson. You're the first person that they see, or it's, everybody has a hand in that process. So
yeah, selling and being in the printer business, what that was obviously more probably B2B would be my guess.
Absolutely, which is why, it was getting to the point where it's hard to leave at 2:30 in the afternoon to go to basketball practice. So I needed something a little more flexible schedule wise for one. But to go back to your question, nobody in my family was ever um, entrepreneurial or, my dad was a factory worker at the same place for 52 years. So very blue collar background in our town as most of my relatives were. So, but my wife's or her family did own a small printing company in our hometown. And
Mm,
that's how I kind of learned the ins and outs of that business, kind of working there part time through college. Um,
yeah.
so that was a good fit for me to start right out of college. And
I'm curious, what are some of the things that have translated from, because business to business sales is different than business to consumer sales.
correct.
And obviously B2B, there's a little bit more, in theory, potentially gatekeepers, right? That
Yep.
you have to go through, and, different conversation flow and all that kind of stuff. What's something that has stood out to you as far as, helped you with the transition from that to real estate? Has it been easier for you from the sales side, or no?
It's the bottom line is it's all, even though it's business to business or business to consumer, it's relationship building, period.
Mm,
Um, it's, I can remember I had a huge client in the printing business, and I had been trying to build a relationship with them for, a couple, almost a couple years. And when I had that opportunity, it takes multiple contacts, as everybody tells you. And after about a dozen or so contacts with the main buyer there, got an opportunity on a very small project and just killed them with outstanding customer service. And from there, just built, a fantastic business relationship with them, and then with maybe 40 people within that same company. And it's the same thing holds true, I think in real estate and helping people buy and sell, what's typically their largest asset is, they have to trust you. Um, it's not going to be a one contact thing. Hey, come throw the sign in my yard. They have to know that what you're talking about, that you have their best interest in mind. Um, I always, every time I'm trying to build that relationship, um, I literally try to set myself up for failure when I'm doing it by
mm,
not, I never tell somebody, hey, I'll give you a call later next week. I'm very specific on the day and
yeah.
the time I'm going to call, so they know exactly when I'm going to call. And when I do call at that particular time, those little things like that, I think help start building trust. But building those relationships are the most important thing in any type of sales. But
I think you're exactly right, and I'm curious about setting yourself up for failure versus set yourself up for success. But you're right on setting the expectations of what's going to happen next,
yeah,
and small things like if you say I'm going to call you at 5 o'clock on Saturday night, and you call at 6 o'clock on Saturday night, you may not think that's a big deal, but they remember that, right?
absolutely.
Or
I-
if you say you call at 5 and you call right at 5, it's those small little things. I
Yep,
do a lot with internet leads, and that's one of the things that I learned over the years was stick to your word. If you say you're going to call them in a couple weeks, don't bother them in between,
yeah, exactly.
uh,
Yep,
because the consumer remembers.
yep. It's doing what you say, doing exactly what you say you're going to do. And
Is that what you mean by setting yourself up for failure? Like
yeah,
to
it's I just had this is a perfect example. I mean, a guy just called me 30 minutes ago. He wants some information on a condo. And I said, hey, I got this appointment at 1 o'clock. I should be done no later than 2. I'll have you all the information you need at 2:30. And at 2:30, he'll have everything that he needs. And, it's not going to be 2:45. It's not going to be 3:30. It's going to be
Yeah,
2:30, just like I told him. So,
yeah, yeah. Sam, I'm curious. So you're in the printer sales business. You think it's going to be a 3 to 4 month thing that, to get through the holidays, to probably get to adjusted, here in Columbus and then
Yeah.
move on. What was some of the things that maybe kept you in there? Because I think in real estate, I always try to tell agents, yes, we have now bills. Like we have bills that we have to pay today,
Yeah.
right? And we do need now business, but we also need to build for the future, and you're in this for a career. What were some of the things for you that, you typically don't see people stay at careers or doing one thing for 20 plus years?
What I really what I really enjoyed about that business, which was probably my biggest transition into the real estate business, was in that business was the pace. I had 10 to 12 deadlines to meet every day as far as getting product, to my clients and stuff like that. And so you're used to selling 10 or 12 things a day, at an average of $300 or $400. And I
Yeah.
like that. I like that pace. I mean, I'd go home just completely exhausted every day. You know, it was a small company, so you saw firsthand your efforts to, the impact it had on the bottom line. Um, that's the biggest thing I probably enjoyed in it. And like I said, other than the people, I love the people that I worked for, and some of my best friends to this day were from that job. But and then transitioning to real estate, where now it's, I'm really happy if I sell 3 things a month,
Yeah.
versus 10 or 12 a day. So
I think that's the biggest challenge, because a lot of people obviously want to celebrate the wins, but in real estate, you know, unless you're a high performer and you want to go, 50, 60, 70 plus transactions, you're only going to have a small few wins, what we would call wins, right?
yeah,
Closings,
yeah,
every month or every other month. And the challenge is, or the mindset shift needs to be the small wins, right? Did you get
yeah,
your prospecting done for the day?
yeah.
Hey, did you have 5 real estate conversations? Like those are the wins that we should celebrate. The closings are like the icing on the cake.
I love that you just said that, John, because it's this year has not been an easy year for me, and I want to say in like 17, in my first year of 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 the business, I think I sold 17 homes, and that kind of went up to about 24ish, 25ish. Last year was probably my best year, and this year has probably been my worst year since my first year.
Mhm.
And but I'm a firm believer in the process. Um, so the wins this year have been more of the 3 to 5 personal note cards a day. The voicemails, the text messages of making sure I'm just connecting with a certain amount of people each day, each week, and in doing so, the numbers will come back as kind of the market shifts back again at some point, a little bit stronger. Although it seems like this week's been pretty busy, but
Yeah.
um, it is. Those small wins, or that process is something you need to embrace. Because if you just look at, getting that closing, man, it's sometimes there's a drought in between and you can get feeling pretty low. So,
Yeah.
and it's one of my roles here with our agency is helping our agents in any way I can, help them build their business, kind of a mentor coaching position. And, that's one of the things I try to stress to them constantly is to have them small process goals along the way, and meet, check them off. And, because I'm a
Yeah.
competitive person, it's like almost every day I go home at the end of the day and go, well, did I win or lose?
Yeah.
And it's focusing on that process helps me enjoy more wins than losses.
Yeah. Well, it's with time, with time, as long as you win more than you lose, you'll be okay.
Yeah,
And it's hard, and again, that's hard for someone new or newer to the business, or I mean, even an experienced agent. We all go through those slumps, right? Like,
absolutely.
I'm just coming out of one where it's like I'm more of a morning person. I was just struggling getting up in the morning, and you know I just put together an accountability call at 7 a.m. and I told other people that I was going to be showing up. And that's the one thing that kind of, kicked my butt in gear in the morning to be up, by 6, 5:45.
Sleeping in, buddy.
Say what?
That's sleeping in. I get up
All right,
about 3 or 4.
You do?
Every day.
Oh, wow. Hey, I'm going to have to send you my phone number so you can text me to get me up out of bed. Sam, I want to transition over into the real estate side now. So, you your printer sales, 24 years, 2016, you decide to get your real estate license. And was it because of the just not enough time? Was it the commitment between basketball coach and the sales side of it? You were looking more for a work-life balance. What made you switch over to real estate other than just a conversation?
Well, I was looking for another, the internet and technology pounded, the printing business for one. It's a brief example was I had a client that every year for like 10 years did this monthly newsletter, right? And off that monthly newsletter, I would make $3,000 every month, for 10 years. And one day they called me and said, "Hey, we realized we can just email this as a PDF." And now I'm not getting, so you start losing business because of the technology, was replacing it. So was kind of looking for something else to do. Was always fascinated. I can remember back when my wife and I first moved to Columbus, and I think it might have been maybe King Thompson, Holzer Wallem at the time or something, where they had on the Sunday morning real estate shows where they, showed like 15 or 20 homes. And we just sat there, we'd watch that every week and they'd tell you how much the house was at the end. And so just always had an interest in real estate, especially when you become a homeowner, you want to know what's going on with your largest asset. And, that was probably the biggest thing was one, I wanted to find a new industry. This clicked a lot, checked a lot of boxes for me. I like the importance of it. I like being, a partner to, some of my closest, friends and people and stuff like that, and some important decisions that they make. So,
yeah. Did you, making that?
The other thing was I got tired of somebody complaining that their business cards were too blue or too green. I had one once where it was like a fishing charter company up on Lake Erie, and they were complaining that the water wasn't blue enough. And I'm like, well, I grew up on Lake Erie. Our water up there is not blue. So
that water is definitely not blue up there. Yeah. Sam, when you made that switch late into your career, you were well established doing what you were doing. Supporters, doubters, when you started to tell people that you were, getting your real estate license. And
my broker, a gentleman named Steve Wilkie, was obviously my hugest supporter because he wanted me to get into it for a couple of years, but get me very involved right away, working open houses and stuff like that, which is where my first clients came from. Couldn't have done anything in this business without him. Doubters, still probably have some to this day. One of the things that I kind of fought early on was, jumping into it at a later age is, first question you get asked is how long you've been doing it.
Yeah.
And I would always give them the example of my basketball coaching, my first year as a head coach, and not to brag or gloat or anything like that. I had one heck of a team. And, my first year as a high school basketball coach, as a head coach, I was the Division I state coach of the year, the conference coach of the year, the district coach of the year. I had a team that was 25-2. We won 21 straight games. And I just say it's not how long you've been doing something, it's how well you do it. And, my group here at Weichert, Steve and our sales manager back then at the time was a guy named Stan Sanford. He's still with us. Those two guys were instrumental coming into the office. A lot of, and it all depends what each person wants. But for me, I came from an office environment, so I needed to be in an office. If I was going to be home, who knows what the heck I was going to be doing all day. But coming in here and talking to people like that were mentors for me, and just what's the biggest mistake you made? And they'd run you through the transaction and this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, I'll better learn. I don't want to do that, and, um, but a lot of supporters here. My wife was a big supporter. She's always supported me, whether I, wanted to coach or not. And then, she's actually we got her licensed about 1.5 years ago as well. She kind of helps me out from time to time now and spends a lot of time with my grandkids, but she's always been a huge supporter. A few friends along the way as well.
It blows my mind that there are people in this industry that get into this business that never go into the office.
Yeah.
Like I try to tell every single brand new agent, like just even if you have nothing to do, just go to the office, be in the environment, ask people questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's going to be agents around you that are willing to pour into you, to give you their advice. If you can volunteer your time to drop a sign for them or put a lockbox on a door, like to me, to have that success early on, you have to have real estate top of mind constantly. And if you're not in the environment, it's not there, right? It's just not there. And, the speed to success early on to me is how often are you doing real estate activities as a realtor? And there's a lot of people that struggle. It's because they don't have the business and they're not doing real estate activities as a realtor,
Exactly. It was my first day. I finished up 2016 with the printing company that I was with. And the first day of 2017, first work day might've been, maybe it was the 3rd back then. January 3rd, but I remember at our old office, we have a beautiful office now in downtown Powell, but our other office was a small place over in Sawmill. And I texted my broker that morning and said, hey, there's, 4,100 homes on the market and somebody's got to sell them. Get in here and open the office door so we can get busy. And that Sunday, he had me working an open house. And like I said, that's where my clients came from. And it's kind of been fast tracked from there. But, if I never would have kind of come in the office, who knows? I don't know where my career would have gone. But
yeah. The most successful agents that I interview and talk to, on a regular basis, we all have had someone or a few people, right, that have been a guide, a mentor, a coach, whatever you want to call them. Sam, I'm curious, dive into your first handful of years of building your business. How did you think about, obviously you mentioned open houses, but how did you think about building your business, and did you have instant success, or was there some struggles along the way?
There's, in this business, I think you had hit on it earlier, there's still some struggles or some slumps, but the biggest thing for me in getting started, my focus was on, I knew a lot of people in our community. That's one thing coaching had done for me for a dozen years or so, some of which don't like me. It's because I coach. But anyways, I did know a lot of people. So it was, how do I let them know I'm in this business?
Yeah.
And it was, one of the guys in our office, he said his first year he handed out 1,000 business cards. That was like one of his process goals. So I'm like, all right, well, if he did 1,000, I can do 2,000. So, and then I ordered a bunch of personal note cards. And one of my process goals was every week, 50 of these cards are going in the mail with 2 business cards, real easy message. Hey, real excited for this career change. Always wanted to get in real estate. Anybody looking to buy or sell, get my card. That was it. And, so it was that. And then as well as a lot of branding, I think helped me when I was getting started. Our company colors are black and yellow. I bought a real cheap yellow Jeep at the time, put the logo on it. And I'm a bad driver, so I had to get rid of that Jeep.
See, most people don't think about that part.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I get phone calls all the time. It's like, you don't have turn signals on that thing. So. And then I I have two grandchildren. My granddaughter was about 2 years old at this point, 2 or 3. I bought her one of them little electric Jeep things and put the logo and her name on that. And we did a lot of like branding little videos and stuff like that. So I was getting some traction, kind of social media. But probably the biggest thing for me was the personal touch of I wish I would have counted how many personal note cards I sent out my first year, but probably 400 or 500 of them. And you know, I think that was one of the things that kickstarted me. And then always looking for them opportunities to brand, even if if I looked somewhat presentable that day. Of course, I'd throw my name badge on and run in the bank. I'd run in, grocery store. I'll tell you what, I had an amazing little branding story was I had bought a bunch of polos with our logo, right? Had it on, went into a bank. The branch manager said, "Hey, do you know our loan officer? Are you interested in learning?" And here goes, are you in real estate? I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to wear this shirt if I wasn't, probably. But anyways, would you be interested in talking to our loan officer for a couple minutes? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. So walk me around the corner, talk to them. Honestly, and it wasn't just that. Obviously, it takes a lot of giving people good service, but 12 to 15 transactions had come off of kind of that if I didn't have that shirt on that day, or if it just had a Nike swoosh on it, he wasn't going to ask me if I worked for Nike, but it's so a lot of branding at the beginning, really getting the word out that you're in the business. And I always have our new agents really sit down and work on their sphere of influence list, and get something in their hands right away. So,
did you have a struggle with getting your sphere of influence to see you as Sam, the realtor, versus Sam, the printer salesperson? Because I think a lot of people, and I bring this up because the majority of agents transition from another career, right?
Yeah.
And the majority of real estate agents typically do that later on in life. There's a few people, very small few, that come right out of high school or come right out of college and get into the business. Most have other careers going on and then they transition in. And I know a lot of agents struggle with that. And that's a conversation that I constantly have, is you have to get these people that see you as what you used to do to see you as now what you do, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm curious
That's
if
a
you have
great question, John. And it's, it kind of ties back into the doubters like you asked about earlier, because there would be some people in the community that, I work the most, that would say, well, why would, if I listed somebody's house, they would be chirping in their ear, well, why would you hire a basketball coach to sell your home?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. And it's, but once again, it's getting that opportunity, right? And then just killing them with service and really taking care of your clients. And once you do that, a handful of times, and then the word gets out, and your referral business starts expanding, and you're off and running. But yeah, I mean, I had those, people that knew me from the printing business. I already had their trust, but it was more so other people from my sphere that, because there's some very, very good agents in this town, man. There's really good ones. Some that have been doing it an awfully long time. Some have been doing it a short time. But it comes back to, like what I said earlier, it doesn't matter how long, it matters how well. And once I got those opportunities and prove to people that I was going to take care of them, things have worked out.
Yeah. Sam, I want to kind of switch gears and look at your business and into the future and where you kind of want to take it and where you want to go. What's something that you're looking to accomplish over the next 12 months within the business?
Well, that's a great question. And if you'd asked me a year ago, it'd probably be different than what I'm going to say now. But it's, I want to keep expanding on my process, but kind of, and that's got to be my focus. I always tell everybody wins and losses, winning, and that's a destination. It's, you can't really always control that. You can control the process in between the wins and the losses. But I would like to expand and build my own personal team, in addition to my wife, who's very, and I did have a good start on that a couple years ago, but things didn't work out. But I want to, that's definitely a goal of mine. I love coaching people. I mean, once coaching's in your blood, it's hard to get out. And I don't know if I'll coach basketball again or not, just from the time commitment standpoint. And but I'd love to help some younger agents get their business started.
Yeah.
And if it's investing in my business a little bit more financially, so I can do that. But that's something that having a little bit bigger team than what I got today is probably my largest goal a year from now.
Yeah. Any big 5-year goals for the business?
My boss once asked me what my 5-year plan was, and I told her to be laid up with a work-related injury. So, I've never, I don't know, buddy. It's God, I am so narrow-minded. It's hard for me to look 5 years from now. I don't know. Um, I'm more of a 5 minutes at a time person.
Yeah.
Um, Hopefully I'm still in the business and still growing and helping, helping others really grow their business as well. I like trying to, at least trying to help or have an impact,
Yeah.
on people. And
Let me ask you this. As a coach, to high schoolers, I help run a fairly large team, bring new agents into the business all the time. I also now coach other real estate agents. Um, what's one thing that you took away from coaching? Just overall experience that continues to stick with you, or that you think about constantly.
mm,
Because I'm with you. Like
yeah,
once you get that dopamine, and I'll call it dopamine, but once you get
one-
that thrill of like helping someone in the business, right? And or in your case, right, it might be an agent, it might be, someone that's playing basketball, whatever the case may be. Like I can't explain the high of that,
yeah.
right? Like I can't explain seeing someone help and being a part of helping them accomplish those goals.
When I was coaching, it was my goal was to provide them with the absolute best athletic experience I could give them.
Mm,
So, um, unfortunately, a lot of people's view of that is different. It might come down to, how much playing time I get is how much fun I'm
yeah.
going to have. And I couldn't control that. That's one of the reasons why I got out of it. Was I wanted that year to be the best year in that kid's life.
Hmm.
We'd fundraise a lot. We'd buy them everything they needed, team meals like crazy, trips, took them to Disney, took the team to Disney World, 20 some kids to Disney World one year. Wanted it to be the most memorable season of their lives. Um,
Mm,
and it's almost, with our new agents that come in here, it's, I want this business to work for them. You know, uh, our culture here in our building's pretty good. Actually, it's really good. It's a fun place for people, I think, to come in and so hopefully people come in here, have a good experience. But it's trying to help them stay in the business
yeah.
and I don't know. Just trying to have an impact on people, I guess.
What's and I'm curious because this is it's been a struggle of mine. I think it's a struggle of a lot of leaders. You see the potential, you know what this business can be and can do, and yet the frustration's there because the people that you're pouring into are not putting in that what you believe is the required work ethic or the required time it takes to study or become a better professional and all of those things. How did you handle that, whether as a leader within your office or even as a coach, right? Coaching kids of like,
Yeah,
there's the potential, right? And they're
absolutely.
just not, and that is a constant thing that a lot of leaders have to deal with and navigate. I'm getting better myself, but I would love to learn, from you on that
Well,
standpoint there.
we're all different. You know, we're all different personalities, and different things work for different people. Um, but everybody's got potential. I mean, and it does come down to, some things are going to work well for others. Other things are going to work well for them. The one thing in this business I think you need to know is you need to know. You need to know stuff. How many homes on, absorption rates you need. So when you have that opportunity for 5 or 10 seconds and you bump into somebody at a grocery store and it's, how's the market? Oh, it's on fire. No, give them, man, we got 3,400 homes on the market. We're selling about 2,500 homes a month. We have inventory for about 5.5 weeks. They're going to
Yeah.
walk away going, man, he's on top of it. So it is, you mentioned the word study. It's one of the things I tell our younger agents to do all the time, but some of them want to just go out and do 1,000 different things. And they're never prepared when they get that opportunity. But,
Mhm.
it's, this is a business. It's not easy. You know that, John, and probably everybody watching it and uh, realizes that it takes a lot of time. You know, you gotta study your products. You gotta learn how to deal with so many different types of people.
Yeah.
Um, you gotta market everything. It's not easy. It takes time, and you got to work hard at it. And that's probably my biggest goal. Is my biggest process goal, I'd say, is I want to sleep at night. I want to go home at the end of the night where I'm tired physically, mentally, and I treated people right. And
Yeah.
that way I can fall asleep, sleep my 7 hours, get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and go do it all again. But it does take a lot of hustle. This is not an easy business.
I hope the audience,
And it's been fairly easy for a few
yeah,
years. I think there's some people that may have been new or even, it didn't take a lot of skill to throw a sign in the yard and answer 15 or respond to 15 offers,
look, we
but
all got we all got lazy over
mhm,
that. Doesn't matter if you were new or experienced. So we all
absolutely.
we all got lazy, over the last couple of years. And I hope the audience picked up on that example that you just said. Hey, how's the market? If you're answering it's hot right now, right? Like that doesn't do anything to the consumer.
No.
But if you are able to articulate, days on market, how many homes are on the market for sale, how many have closed in the last 30 days, and how many, like that's the separator, right? Like that's the sales skill. Like I don't believe
And
in
then,
real estate we're salespeople, but
yeah,
I believe there's points of time where we need to have sales skills.
absolutely. You have to have those little kind of elevator speeches, ready, when you have 10 or 15 seconds to make an impact on somebody. And if you want to, farming's one of the big things that everybody talks about. And some young agents will, or not young, I don't mean to use that word, but,
Yeah, yeah,
newer agents that I'm going to pick this neighborhood, I'm going to farm that. And they just start throwing away hundreds, thousands of dollars, but just sending out postcards or doing this. But if you ask them, hey, what's the price per square foot in here? They don't know it. It's You better know your products in this business.
Yeah.
And so take the time to learn that. And probably that's one of the biggest things I try to stress with the younger, newer agents. But,
Yeah. Sam, what's a legacy goal for you? Do you
oh,
have a legacy
legacy. That's a
goal?
scary word because that means I'm dead, right?
Yep. That question was asked to me about a year ago at this point now, and I think that's one we always get asked: the 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, right?
Yep.
To me, I look at it as like, what's that North Star that I'm chasing that I may hit, I may not hit, but I have that direction of where I want to get to.
Yeah. I don't know. The bottom line for me and my broker is, like I had mentioned earlier, he's one of my best friends, and he and I talk about this kind of stuff all the time. But uh, I want people to know that I took care of them. That I treated them right. Might have had an impact on them, hopefully positive, but that's the biggest thing. And we're all gonna, not going to take anything with us. It's what you leave behind, and that's the impact that you're going to have on people. So you get the choice to make: is it going to be positive or negative? And you know, that's hopefully someday that's what people remember about me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sam, last question for you. If you could give our audience one piece of advice that maybe you received early on in your career, if someone comes to you and asks you for advice about real estate or just anything in general, what would you give the audience?
It's people, buddy. It's building relationships. It's the stuff that we talked about, and it's taking the small steps to build that trust with people, get to know them. Um, there's a lot of different ways you can go about getting leads these days. Like you had mentioned, internet. You can buy them, whatever, Zillow, Realtor, whoever you want to buy them from. But until you sit down and actually build relationships with people and help them solve problems, um, I think you're going to have a hard time sustaining success.
Hmm.
Um,
Sam, thanks so much for today. Thanks so much for sharing your insights, your knowledge, your journey. I tell the audience all the time, like my mission, my passion is to affect the failure rate of our industry in a positive way. I
yep.
feel like it does not need to be 87% by the end of year two. By sharing everyone's story, your story, you're going to have an impact on someone that's listening, whether it's next week, next month, next year, 5 years from now. So I really, really, really appreciate you jumping on with me today. Those that are watching, Sam's phone number is at the bottom of the screen. So if you are thinking about buying, selling, investing in real estate here in Central Ohio, please reach out to him. If you're an agent and you just connected with him and his story and his journey, please reach out to him. His phone number is down below. But Sam, for those that are listening in on the audio version, what is the best way for people to connect with you?
My phone number is great, 614-570-5250. www.craftygroup.com is another way. One thing, can I say one thing, John? Because you brought it up there. That was another good thing or big thing that helped me early in my business was I did see a couple agents that weren't in my brokerage, that were having success. They were open. I took them to lunch. They were open to sharing ideas with me, that I still implement and use today. And if I could help anybody, if anything I said kind of resonated with anybody and you'd like more information or want to, I'd be more than willing to help.
It's so important. The people that are doing business, they had someone
Yeah.
or multiple
Absolutely.
people, and I think, people that get into this business, I think ego gets in the way of a lot of people having success,
Yep.
you know, and I was actually, and I know we're getting up against time, but I was actually having this conversation with my wife last night, and I said, do you believe that there's a difference between being teachable and being coachable? And
Good
I
question.
I think and we talked about it a little bit, and there's a lot of people in our industry that are teachable. There's a little bit of people in our industry that are actually coachable.
Mm-hmm.
And the most successful people in our industry are coachable.
I agree
So
1,000%. There is a difference.
there is a difference. So Sam, thanks so much again for your time today. And if I can do anything for you with your business and what you're trying to do, please reach out to me. I would love to give back to you and help you out. And we'll definitely chat again here soon.
I appreciate it. Best of luck to you, buddy.
All right. Talk to you soon.
See you, John.